you how they are prepared. They even got players all over Africa, including Nigeria, to come and make popular women football. And these players are well paid by the state. The clubs are being funded by the states because, according to the sporting director of Sporting Casablanca, he said the essence is this: when these players are motivated and they play very well, in the end they will form the bulk of the national team, and that's what is happening. It's playing out now. And so I'm not surprised at what is happening there. They have the facilities and they have the determination, they have the program, they have the vision, and they have the energy and the finance to drive that vision. That explains why Morocco is doing well. I believe that we can borrow a leaf or two from Morocco and try and replicate what is happening there. Incidentally, the Nigerian Football Federation signed an agreement with the Moroccan Football Federation. This is the time to start implementing such bilateral agreement, going to Morocco, learn from what they are doing there, and be able to replicate such things in Nigeria, so that we too will be able to develop more than where we are. Because whether we like it or not, the rest of African countries are catching up with us. Because some years back, Nigeria was far ahead of other African countries in terms of women football. But the gap is narrowing and narrowing with every passing day.
Okay. A beautiful one from Kunle Solaja. I mean, how to harness the talent and ensure that we look at our locale, see what others are doing out there, and then maybe get to pick those good things they're doing and bring it back to our league. After all, we started blazing on. Nigeria is the only team, in Africa that has attended all female World Cup. It shows you how vast we have. If we started developing our female football right from 1991, for example, until this moment, and a country that just started a few years ago, it means that there's something we did that made us to get to that level. Now that we have come back now, I mean, the world is changing digitally and all that. We need to also upgrade what we already know, yes, so we can continue to enhance our performance. I'm sure you agree with Kunle Solaja.
Yes, I really agree with Kunle, because right from 1991 we have participated in every edition of the FIFA Women's World Cup, and we're supposed to be on the high pedestal and high echelon, but we have not found ourselves on that platform because of lack of preparation, discovering talent and not nurturing them, and a whole lot, even corruption as it is, has contributed to our fall when it comes to the women's World Cup, when it comes to the women team. But looking at some other teams that just discovered 6 years ago, and they are able to build from where they are up to this point in time, that they can be equitable to us who have been in this tournament for 30 years plus. I've been attending tournament for 30 years plus. So you see that we are really gone down the drains, and so many things have contributed to our downfall. So we need to put our house in order, introduce preparation on time, and definitely we shall see the result in which we aim for. Because if we do not consider all these factors as major factors that will contribute to our downfall, then we are not aiming high. So if we put our house in order, make sure preparations kickstart in full gear on time, then we shall be at the top.
Then we shall be at the top. And we're not done yet. If you look at the pairings for the round of 16, on Saturday we'll see Switzerland versus Spain. Japan will host Norway. Netherlands versus South Africa. Sweden will play against the United States of America on Sunday. On Monday, the Three Lionesses of England will host Nigeria Super Falcons. Australia will play against Denmark. And on Tuesday, the last day of the round of 16, we see Colombia versus Jamaica. France will play against Morocco. In this competition so far, we have seen some big teams that no one would have expected for them to have exited, like Germany have exited, the tournament. What could have prompted that? A team that a group that has Germany, that has Colombia, and that has Morocco. One would have expected that at least Germany should pick the first ticket in that group. So, what could be responsible to some of the big teams exiting the tournament? This time around, Mr. Kunle Solaja.
Probably they underestimated the opponents, especially those countries that initially were against the expansion of the Women World Cup to allow Africa have four teams. As a matter of fact, Africa could have even have a fifth slot if Cameroon had done well in the playoff for it. So we would have even had 5 African countries, just like we may have 10 at the next FIFA World Cup. We have 9 confirmed, then one other team might just qualify through the playoff. So most of these countries probably felt that, looking at the development in Africa and some other parts of the world, they feel that they already had, they were already in firm control, especially if Germany could omel Morocco 6-0 in the opening match. They probably felt that Morocco will be a casualty at the end of the group stage, but that has not been the case.
Now, another thing that baffles me, if you look at the round of 16 tie, you see that European teams have dominated. They have close to about 10 teams in the round of 16. That obviously should tell you on paper that an European nation will get to winning this one. So if you look at it, you have Japan, teams outside Europe, you see Nigeria, you see South Africa, you see Colombia, you see Morocco, Jamaica. The rest are European nations, maybe United States of America too. But does that in any way tells you that this is just a battle of the European teams and the rest of other nations?
You know, just like the FIFA World Cup, Europe always have the largest number of teams, and the same thing in the Women's World Cup too. They always have the largest number of teams in those competitions. So the chances of European teams advancing to the final stage is always very high because of the number they present. But one thing that is very striking to me in the pairing of the round of 16 is the African teams. Somehow, you know, if you look critically at the fixtures, they just pitch them against their former colonial masters. Nigeria facing England. You know, we were colonized by the British. France facing Morocco. The French were the colonial masters in Morocco. And then you look at South Africa, pitched against the Netherlands. The Netherlands were the first to settle, to occupy Cape Town, and then briefly colonize South Africa before the British may upstage them there. So it's just like the African teams, the African women now fighting against our colonial masters, and that's a political statement. And that's even one of the reasons why I wish the 3 African teams very, very well, so that at least we can make a political statement out of it, that we have defeated our colonial masters. As for the Super Falcons, even though the English team, the England, are better rated than the Falcons, this will be their 4th time of clashing since I think since 1995. They first met at Sweden 95, and it was a very keenly contested match. England won 3-2, and that is the last time England have ever defeated our Super Falcons. The 2 other times they met in England, the Super Falcons won. First time in Norwich, I think we beat them 1-0 in 2002, and even 2 years later in Reading, it was even a more comprehensive victory for Nigeria. We beat England 3-0 in Reading in UK. So if we can do it then, I think we can do it now also.
So you're very optimistic that Nigeria, if you look at England, the Three Lionesses are one of the teams that qualified unblemished. You know, they have unblemished record, qualifying 9 points. Same with Japan. Same with I think one other team, Sweden, also qualified with 9 points. So if you go back, you just talked about Nigeria winning 2 out of 3 they played so far. But then it looks like as European champions, Nigeria is not the African champions. So that might just play a factor here when you look at how strong they are now with one of the best coaches so far.
Okay, if you also look, if you go back a little, if I can use the World Cup as an example, Brazil hosting in 2014, they also qualified from the group unblemished. But when they got to the semi-final, we also saw what happened. Within a space of about 7 minutes, they conceded 4 goals against Germany. So sometimes like this, you being a better side or better place, that something might just go wrong and things went hurry. Look at even Manchester United beating 7-0 in the league, and they still came up at least to become one of the top three in the Premier League. So the fact that England had a very good run so far, that doesn't mean that good run cannot be punctuated, and that's why the Englishman put punctuation mark in the alphabets. So I believe that the good run will certainly come to an end on Monday.
Okay. I mean, you've heard from Kunle Solaja. I love the last statement. That's why
the punctuation
mark
the introduction
and
of that.
true. It's well, I mean, it's football. On paper, it looks like England will have it all, but like I said, they believe when it comes to Nigeria, Nigeria thrive when people don't believe in them, like we did against Canada, did against Australia. Can they do it against England?
Yes, we can actually do it against England because the three lionesses are being tipped to win this one. Let us cast our mind back to AFCON. I think that was in 2019, the last edition of the AFCON, where Nigeria, the male team, defeated Egypt in the first game, which ended 1-0. Egypt was tipped to win that game. So, but we came out as the eventual winners. Running down up to this point in time, the three lionesses of England are tipped to win this game. But if we put up a fine show against...
As we did against Canada.
Yes, as we did against Canada, carving out a draw, we could see the later stages of
but,
the game.
But goal scoring has been a challenge for the team. And for a team like England, you need goals.
Yes.
You need goals to be sure.
We just scored 3 goals to qualify from this group stage.
Which is not good enough.
Which is not good enough. That was just against Australia alone. So if we can as well score more goals, in the first half we should be able to have at least a goal or 2, so that we can cement our spot. I'm not saying we should have a goal or 2 and then go sit back in defense in the second half. But if we have a goal or 2 in the first half, then put in more pressure in the second half, then we can be able to wind up this English team. But if we don't have, then we may find ourselves struggling in the second half to catch up with the pace. We all know that the three lionesses have not been fantastic in their group stage encounter, but they may just pick up this form in the group stage, in the knockout stage. So we should be able to also flow in a higher momentum so that we can be able to match up with this team and also get the result.
All right, Kunle Solaja, let me bring you now to administration. News making round has it that it seems FIFA will no longer pay the players directly to their bank account because the federations are pushing that the players should be paid through the federation, and then but not to the like, not to the to the love or penchant of a lot of followers who feels that if this money is not channeled directly to the account of the players, that the K-leg syndrome might just show up again, especially for teams from Africa. What do you have to say about this one?
Well, the agitation has been on for a while, even about 2-3 weeks to the kickoff of the Women's World Cup. There have been feelings that FIFA might just change its initial stand of paying directly to the players. But they said, I learned from FIPRO officials that the football federations were mounting pressure on FIFA, that they were the ones affiliated to FIFA and not the players. So you cannot pay to somebody who is not affiliated to you. The players who are affiliated are members of the football federations. So that was the battle that the football federations actually put up. So, and then FIFA now, in its wisdom, what they have now done is that they said, okay, we will pay those players through the federations. And what they now did is to reward the payment So what that means is that that money must still be paid to those players, but it will be paid by the federations. And when you reward a particular payment, it means you cannot pay lower than that amount. FIFA will take
how is the process done, and how do they confirm or checkmate the, like you talked about, reward?
Yeah, what they do is this: if we say, okay, we are giving you $100 million, 30 million of it should go to these players. If there's any complaint that money was not paid, FIFA has a way of sanctioning such thing, because every football federation has an account with FIFA. They just deduct it from source, and that also puts a dot on you, because what it means is that you are not trustworthy. Next time, that's why anytime FIFA finds a particular football federation, they just go to bed, because they know even if you don't pay the money, we deduct it from source. Just like where you are working, if you commit any offense and it has to do with financial sanctioning, they just deduct it from your salary, because already they have your salary with them. So you just discover that when they are paying you, that money has been deducted. I think that is what FIFA has decided to do now.
Okay, if that be the case now, maybe the players will be rest assured that this money will be given to them. Of course, a lot of person thinks that the money has been a key motivational factor to why we have three African teams in the next round of the FIFA Women's World Cup.
Of course, the money has been a factor, because for playing in the first round, they have $30,000 each. Getting to the round of 16, it comes to, I think, $60,000. So that is enough motivation for even an average African player or an average African, because $16,000 will naturally take you out of poverty level. To somebody who lives in Europe, to the Americans or those in the first and second world, if we take it that we're in the third world, for those ones, $60,000 or $30,000 may not mean anything, but for a typical African, it means a lot. So that is enough motivation for them to do everything possible to ensure that they advance, because the more they advance, the more the money they will get.
All right, we have been talking with veteran sports journalist Kunle Solaja, an award-winning journalist who have traversed the length and breadth of this world when it comes to football activities and sporting reportage. And I still have in here Jerry Daniel, of course, bringing you some of those interesting analyses. We're going to a quick break now. When we come back, we'll talk about an Italian goalkeeper, Buffon, who has retired at age 45. Don't go anywhere. This is Atlantic Television Network. last phase of our show this evening is still Sports Extraordinary here on Atlantic Television Network. And I still have the sports veteran Kule Solaja as well as Jerry Daniels. Jerry, just yesterday, Italian goalkeeper Gianluigi Buffon retires formally from football at the age of 45.
Yes, very, very interesting career by the former Italian international. Gianluigi Buffon debuted for Parma in 1995, and up to this point in time, he has been a professional, having played for League One giant and also Serie A giant, and also his boyhood club. This he has been a very, very spectacular player in between the sticks, lifting the World Cup in 2006 against France. I was so surprised to see that he was still playing up until his days in Juve, and also the last days in Parma, where he struggled with injuries lately that forced him into this retirement. But it's a timely intervention by him in order to save his strength and also save some muscles and also have some respite in the game. This I don't think we have ever seen this in football, where a goalkeeper has to play up to the age of 45. But this is a very, very good feat achieved by this goalkeeper. He has the most appearances in Serie A, and also those that have 1,100 and more appearances when it comes to the round leather game. So kudos to him. I wish him well after his retirement from football, and much more. We hope to see him as a sport analyst and also in this field.
All right. I mean, we're talking about Gianluigi Buffon. Kune Solaja, I'm sure you are still there with us.
Yeah, yes.
And this is one man who plays professional football, club football for 28 years. And he won that in 28 years. He won the 2006 World Cup with Italy, with 10 Serie A titles with Juventus and Ligue 1 with Paris Saint-Germain. The big question is, where will you rate Buffon among other top world-class goalkeepers that have retired before now?
Well, Buffon is a record holder, because retiring at age 45 and having a career span of 28 is unmistakably a milestone and something that is worth praising. To start with, you know that goalkeepers, among footballers, goalkeepers always have a longer career span. You know of Peter Shilton too, of England, how many times he actually stood between the sticks for England. So the same thing with Buffon. But one thing that stood Buffon out is that he is the most capped international goalkeeper ever, having had 176 international appearances. And you also recall that maybe it could have even been higher if he had not retired from international football in 2017 following Italy's inability to qualify for the World Cup 2018. Maybe if he had not even retired then, he could have moved close to 200. No goalkeeper in the world has ever moved to that. So for that, I have my greatest respect for him. And you also remember that if you look at his career span, within that same period, he has won 10 Serie A titles and 1 Ligue 1 title. That's a huge feat for him. That is, being a champion of his country's league, being a member of the Champions League, having the Serie A winner 10 times, is a very huge achievement for him. And also winning the World Cup in 2006 with Italy is a very, very, very big achievement for him. So he has put his place in history, and is one person that went back to the source to retire, because he started his career in Parma and returned and retired in Parma even when Parma was in the second tier league of Italy. So it takes a courage for somebody of his caliber to play at that to play for a lower club that is like giving back to the club that projected him up. So he has my respect anytime, any day.
I mean, what a way to wrap up. But before we wrap up conversation here, Kunle Solaja, let's talk about transfer season and what is going on. I mean, which transfer so far have you tracked that tickles your fancy? Will Kylian Mbappe be playing for Real Madrid, or he will be in Paris Saint-Germain next season?
Well, the problem of Mbappe is that he has a misunderstanding with the club management, and that's why. And he has made it clear that he wasn't leaving because of money. Otherwise, he would have taken the Saudi offer. So, but I still believe that he might just make fences with PSG and still spend the last year of his contract with them.
Okay, let's see how far it pans, and we're counting down already. This weekend is Community Shield, and let me just take you on this, Kunle Solaja. Manchester City, Arsenal. Where will your heart and head go for?
It's Manchester City. Don't mind the fact that I'm putting on something red.
Yeah.
Give some credit to us now.
Okay. The big boss, like I call you, thank you so much for always joining us. It's a delight, having to. I'm even wondering why you're not in New Zealand or in Australia, because I know that you're one man. You are a record holder when it comes to FIFA Men's World Cup, and I'm thinking that they should be there too in the Female World Cup, but maybe you have other ideas.
I've been to the Women World Cup before. I covered the inaugural one in China, and I believe now that they want to also leave the stage for others to be able to cover. And then don't forget that my own organization is privately owned, so which makes it a little challenging getting sponsorship for such a trip.
We have been speaking with one man who has traversed when it comes to sports reporting, writing. Kunle Solaja is top in Nigeria, among the best we have here, and so far he's an icon, and sometimes we consult him like an oracle. Kunle, thank you, and do have a lovely evening. On behalf of the crew here, we say God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Amen. Thank you very much.
All right, sir. And Jerry Danes, it's been a wonderful time, but I cannot go without talking about the sports thriller. It goes to Moroccan national team,
yes.
the female,